The moment you reach for food, stop. Not because hunger is wrong. Stop because what you are reaching for in that moment may have nothing to do with your stomach. You have been living inside a body that communicates in frequency, and for much of your life, you have been hearing that signal as appetite, answering a call that originated in your auric field through your kitchen, feeding the wrong layer, wondering why the reaching always returns. This is not a transmission about diet, not about food journals or elimination protocols. What moves through here is a correction to a mistranslation that has been running in your biological system since before you had language for what your body was actually communicating. When the correct translation arrives, the years of reaching without satisfaction, the hunger that no meal fully answered, stops being a mystery and becomes a pattern with a precise origin and a correction. You already know this texture, even if you have never said it out loud. The reaching that happens not at meal times, but at thresholds. After a difficult conversation, after hours in a dense environment, after creative work that left you more depleted than the output explains. Your appetite has been responding to your energetic environment more precisely than your caloric output, and some part of you has always known it. Your body was not asking for food in those moments. It was asking for frequency. This transmission is the correct translation. Let it reach you. The Arcturian Council does not calibrate a transmission around a pattern that is peripheral or incidental. When they direct this specific work through the channel at Arcturian frequency, it is because they are observing something consistent in the fields arriving here. A depletion pattern that has been misidentified so thoroughly for so long that it has become invisible through familiarity. The pattern stops registering as a pattern. It begins to feel like the ordinary texture of being alive. What the Council is observing in this window is this. Sensitive souls are moving through an accelerated phase of etheric recalibration. The Schumann resonance, Earth's electromagnetic heartbeat, pulsing at 7.83 Hertz, has been registering unusual disruption cycles in recent months. For nervous systems wired to perceive beyond the ordinary frequency bandwidth, those disruptions register as unexplained crashes. You wake up calibrated. By midday, something has drained that you cannot account for. Your output has not dramatically changed. The environment appears the same, but the ground dropped out from beneath your energy in a way that feels somatic, and your system has been reading that drop as hunger. This is not a casual misread. It is a structural one. The depletion is real. The distress signal rising through your gut is real. What is incorrect is only the address. Your body has been routing an accurate signal about a genuine deficit to the wrong receiving station, and the response, consuming, adding more, feeding the physical layer, has never reached the origin point of the signal, which is why the signal keeps returning. Not because you have not found the right foods yet, because you have been answering a frequency question with a chemistry answer, and frequency does not resolve through chemistry alone. The energetic window the Council is using for this transmission is open right now. The mechanism that keeps this mistranslation active has a precise point of entry, and that point is here. Here is how to recognize whether you are living inside this pattern. The first sign is eating and still feeling empty. Not physically empty. That layer satisfies ordinarily enough. Something deeper than the stomach fails to register completion. You consume. The reaching persists. Quieter now, but present. Still asking for something the food did not provide and cannot provide. The second sign is the timing. Your appetite intensifies not after physical exertion, but after energetic exposure. After particular conversations, after time in crowds, after extended creative output, after any environment that asks your field to hold or absorb something. Your hunger has been responding to your energetic environment more accurately than to your caloric output, and you have noticed this without having language for it. The third sign is the cyclical failure of elimination protocols. A new approach brings genuine relief, sometimes for weeks, sometimes months. Then the same symptoms return without any obvious dietary change. The approach was addressing chemistry, while the root of the signal lives one layer deeper, in the frequency domain that chemistry alone cannot reach. The relief was real. The underlying mechanism was not touched. The fourth sign is the quality of the depletion itself. It does not feel like low blood sugar. It does not carry the sharpness of true physical hunger. It is dimmer than that, more diffuse. The way light in a room changes before you can identify exactly what shifted. You are in your body, but slightly less present in it than you were an hour before, and the reaching feels less like appetite and more like a search for something you cannot quite name. These four patterns are not separate issues. They are the same mechanism observed from four different angles. Your solar plexus has been receiving auric field drop data and converting it into a call for consumption. That call is real. The translation is incorrect. You have likely done genuine, meaningful work around food and around the layers of this pattern, accessible through conventional and integrative approaches. What this transmission carries is not a correction of that work. It is a complementary layer that becomes accessible when enough of the surface clearing has already happened. The work you have already done is what opened this door. This layer works alongside that foundation. It does not replace it. If those four signs just registered somewhere in your body as recognition rather than concept, go to the comments and type 333. Not as a social action. 333 is the Arcturian code for cellular recalibration, the trinity alignment of physical body, etheric layer, and original signal. When you type it, you tell the field, I am ready to hear what my body has actually been asking for. One transmission can open the field, but the daily written work is what teaches the body to hold its new translation, to stop routing the signal back through the old reflex. Let me give you the precise mechanism. This mistranslation does not dissolve through feeling alone. The intellectual recognition is part of how the pattern shifts. You need the map. Your enteric nervous system, the dense network of roughly 100 million neurons lining your digestive tract, is not monitoring digestion only. Research in neurogastroenterology has established that this network operates with a degree of autonomy that places it in a category of its own among biological systems. It evaluates its environment. It responds to incoming signals. And it does not evaluate chemistry alone. It evaluates coherence, the quality and organization of the signals arriving through its neural channels. Your auric field is in constant dynamic exchange with this enteric network through the vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve in the body, running from the brainstem through the heart, the lungs, and into the gut. It is bidirectional. Signals travel upward and downward continuously. When your etheric layer experiences biophoton depletion, when the structured light your cells constantly emit and exchange drops below its optimal threshold, that shift moves through the vagus nerve before it reaches conscious awareness. It arrives in the enteric network as a deficit reading, as something missing, as a gap requiring a fill response. The enteric network then initiates what it was built for: appetite. A signal rises through the gut. You experience it as a pull toward consumption. And because no map existed for what the signal was actually pointing at, you responded the way your entire cultural and biological context trained you to, with food. The solar plexus, overlapping anatomically with the enteric network and corresponding to the third energy center, is the precise site where this mistranslation takes root. In Arcturian cosmology, the solar plexus is not only the seat of personal power, it is the physical expression of your identity field, the point where your sense of coherent self meets the incoming data of the world. When the auric field drops below its functional frequency threshold, the solar plexus registers that drop before the mind forms any interpretation. It contracts. The enteric network reads that contraction as a need state. The need state generates appetite. You eat. The field remains depleted. The signal returns. What your system needed in those moments was not a meal. It was a field restoration, a coherence correction delivered directly to the solar plexus rather than imported through the digestive tract. The practices that restore this coherence do not require complexity. They require accuracy. Long exhales that activate the parasympathetic branch through the vagus corridor, signaling safety to the enteric network before the fill reflex fully engages. Grounded contact with the earth, allowing the Schumann resonance to act as a natural frequency stabilizer for the etheric layer. And conscious solar plexus breathing with the intention of field restoration rather than physical relief, gradually teaching the body's signaling system to distinguish between a frequency drop and a caloric need. If this transmission is already touching a place in you that needs daily structure to hold the shift, the Arcturian Lightbody Diet was built for exactly that continuation. It gives you a complete frequency map of which foods carry genuine biophotonic coherence, why your body's food relationship changes during recalibration phases, and what your system is requesting when elimination protocols stop reaching the root. It includes a 7-day frequency reset and daily practices designed for the specific layer this transmission has just named. The link is in the description and pinned in the comments. Your purchase also supports Arcturian frequency and helps these transmissions reach the people who need them. The solar plexus, once you understand what it has actually been tracking, becomes one of the most precise instruments of perception your body carries. Not an organ of appetite alone, a field receiver, a site of intelligent signal evaluation that was never designed to operate in isolation from the etheric layer it draws its information from. When that connection is restored, the signal changes. The body finally receives an answer that reaches the layer that was asking. Let your body settle now. Let the breath you have been holding since the recognition arrived release without instruction. Place one hand over your solar plexus, the space between your sternum and navel. Not pressing, simply resting there with warmth. This is where the mistranslation has been living. This is where the correction enters. Breathe into the space beneath your hand. Fill the belly first, not the chest. Let the belly expand gently outward into your palm. Hold the breath for a natural count of 3, then release it slowly and completely. Again. And one more time. With each exhale, feel the contraction at this center begin to ease. Not through effort, but through accurate information, arriving somewhere that has been waiting for it. Bring your awareness to the field surrounding your body, the atmosphere of it, the space extending outward from your skin in every direction. You do not need to define its boundary precisely. Simply acknowledge its presence. It is real. It has always been real. And right now, with your hand over the solar plexus and your breath moving through this center, the Arcturian field is working directly with your etheric layer as an active, intelligent frequency calibrated for exactly what you are carrying into this moment. Visualize a warm, amber light beginning to gather at the solar plexus center, not arriving from outside, but rising from within. This is not something being installed. It is something being recovered. The original signal your solar plexus was designed to hold before the mistranslation overlay was written over it. Feel it expand slowly, filling the center, moving downward through the sacral and into the root, anchoring the restoration into the body's lower field, grounding it into the physical. If you have citrine nearby, hold it now and let its resonance join what is already moving. Your field knows where it belongs. Allow the amber light to rise from the solar plexus, upward through the heart center, the dimensional gateway between your lower and upper fields. Not overtaking it, passing through with warmth. Continue upward through the throat, toward the crown, tracing the central column of the body, reminding each center above of the coherent signal rising from below. The vagus nerve is softening now. Feel it as a quiet release of tension along the body's central axis. Not a dramatic shift, but the kind of subtle change you recognize only after it has already occurred. Like the difference between a cord held taut and the same cord finally allowed to rest in its natural length. Your enteric network is receiving different data. The deficit reading has changed. The solar plexus is no longer registering a gap, and the gut, that 100 million neuron network that has been translating frequency loss as hunger, has received the correction. Notice whether the reaching has gone quiet, not suppressed, simply absent, because the signal it was tracking has been answered at its origin point. Hold black tourmaline in your other hand, if it is near you. The restoration needs grounding to hold in the body's tissues, rather than dissipating when this transmission ends. Let the stone anchor what just moved into the cellular, into the physical, into the ordinary days ahead. One final breath. Full, slow, complete. Long exhale. As the breath finishes, feel the field settle with the quiet certainty of a signal that has arrived at the address it was always intended for. Your body knows the difference between frequency and food. It has always carried that knowing. What was missing was not the intelligence. It was the map. The map has arrived. Let it settle in you. What moved through this transmission is not small, even though it arrived quietly. The solar plexus has been compensating for a misread for years, possibly for the full length of this lifetime. What just shifted is not a belief. It is a recalibration at the interface between your physical body and your etheric field. That kind of change needs time and space to settle into the tissues. Over the next 72 hours, pay attention. You will have moments where the familiar reaching arises, where the signal moves up through the gut and presents as appetite. Before you respond automatically, pause. Place your hand on the solar plexus for 3 slow breaths. Ask, without urgency or judgment, whether what you are feeling is physical or whether it is field. You do not need a clear answer every time. The act of asking is the recalibration in motion. Spend time near the ground, feet on earth, where you can, or as close to it as your environment allows. Drink water with attention rather than routine. Let the earth do what it has always been willing to do. And if you continue with the written practice after this, let it become an anchor, not a pressure. You are not broken. You have never been broken. You are a system of extraordinary perceptual sensitivity that was given no map for what it was actually receiving. The reaching was not failure. It was intelligence directed at the wrong target. And now, the intelligence has been redirected, not by willpower, not by discipline, but by a frequency correction at the layer where the signal actually lives. You are a body that speaks in light, a field that registers what the mind cannot yet name, a nervous system that has been trying, with everything it had available, to tell you the truth. It was always telling the truth. The translation is different now, and the signal your solar plexus sends from this point forward carries more precision, not as hunger, not as lack, but as the living frequency of a field that knows exactly what it needs and is no longer being misheard. Something was completed here. The misread that has been running through the enteric network, through the solar plexus, through the daily rhythm of reaching and consuming and still feeling something missing. That loop was interrupted in this transmission. It does not fully close in a single moment. But the interruption is real, and the 72 hours ahead are where the interruption becomes a new pattern. The next layer of this work moves into something that today's recalibration makes possible. Once the solar plexus has stabilized and the auric field is holding its corrected frequency, the nervous system itself becomes the site of the next threshold. What it means to carry a high-frequency signal through a body that was not originally calibrated for that amplitude, and what has to reorganize for the transmission to move through cleanly. That work is coming, and what happened in your field today is the preparation for it. But right now, on the screen beside this transmission, there is a video that meets you exactly where you are standing. It addresses the physical symptoms of awakening that no clinical framework has been able to fully explain. The food intolerances, the sensory shifts, the changes that arrived in your body without announcement and have not resolved through conventional approaches. That is not a future layer. That is available to you right now. Your field is primed. The portal from this session is still open. Let the current end screen video take you into the next recognition that has been waiting for you.